I'm not going to get up here and try to explain to you people stuff that's over my head, which is mostly what we're here to talk about, stuff that's over my head. You know my feelings about higher education and about research in general and about the ability to be able to utilize research for cutting-edge applications to improve people's quality of life, as well as to create job opportunities and new products. And it just depends on what arena we're talking about as to what the application is. I hearken back to the idea that, and to something I've said many times. Research by its very nature is not sexy to politicians. And the reason for that is politicians, and I'm overgeneralizing because there are obvious exceptions, but politicians in general are looking more for instant gratification. I mean, you know, really, you got to get reelected, generally speaking, and research is a long, drawn-out process that usually doesn't yield results in a time frame that's consistent with what most folks want to spend money on in the political arena. And so when and where we can divert money toward research, we should. And I specifically remember that I insisted, and I think the majority of the Arkansas Senate insisted, when we developed a chart plan with a windfall of money from the tobacco settlement, that a significant portion, almost a third, of those annual payments, ranging anywhere in the aggregate from $50 to $60 million, be devoted to research. And what happened is we created an alliance that higher education had not seen between ASU and the U of A and UALR and the med school and Children's Hospital and UAAG and others, that caused those folks to work together in a fashion that's paying dividends to this day. And the problem with research is sometimes you head down a road and you don't get anywhere. I mean, that's the nature of research. It doesn't pan out. And sometimes you head down a road and you end up in a different fork because your research is taking you in a different way. But wherever we go, advances in mankind have largely tracked great research and smart people who spend time with the scientific method trying to figure out what the next step is in medicine, in materials. You know, Mary's gone nuts now in nanotechnology, and she's infused all these other folks with nanotechnology. But research creates opportunities for tomorrow. And look what's happened in society and the world in the last 70 years. Think back 70 years ago, what we didn't know. Think back 2 years ago, what we didn't know. 2 years ago? Now? Yeah. Jeff would do that. So, I guess that's just my way of saying that we got some really smart people here. And we've been fortunate to attract really smart people. These two folks that you're going to meet, I've already tried to attract without even knowing what I was talking about. But I think it's important for people in my position and for the legislature and other folks in political life to understand and support that even though you're not going to get instant gratification, resources to research is an integral part of what we ought to be about, not just in this country, but specifically in this state. It's already paid dividends. We've seen commercialization of research ideas actually take hold and create jobs in our state. We'll see even more of it going forward. This is another example of taking some resources and trying to attract or retain really, really smart people who are on the cutting edge in their field of scientific research. So with that, I think I'm supposed to turn it over to Jeff, who's the boss of all this private sector stuff that we're trying to pursue, and who helps try to determine who some of these folks are. So Jeff Gardner.
Thank you, Governor Beebe, and I hope it goes without saying how much the ARA appreciates your support and leadership over the last 4 years. It wouldn't be possible without your help. Before we introduce our newest ARA scholars, I want to tell you a bit about our program. It was launched in 2010. The ARA Scholar Program plays a pivotal role in bridging university research and economic development. Prior to being appointed, scholars are nominated by their institution, and each scholar undergoes a rigorous vetting and review process conducted by an external advisory committee. ARA scholars contribute to Arkansas' strongest and most commercially viable research competencies with the goal of creating knowledge-based jobs downstream. We've had tremendous success to date. The board is thrilled to welcome our newest scholars. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chancellor Dan Ron from UAMS, who will introduce our first scholar.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Governor, for your support. It's really my pleasure this morning to be able to introduce UAMS's new ARA scholar, Dr. Gareth Morgan. There's more. I would like to echo something that Governor Beebe said. Really, without new knowledge, nothing gets better. The discovery of new knowledge is fundamental to what we do and the way we advance the human condition. Dr. Morgan became director of the UAMS Myeloma Institute, the Myeloma Institute for Research and Therapy, which we call MERT, on July 1st. He actually arrived in the U.S. permanently 2 months ago today. Prior to his arrival here, Dr. Morgan was professor of hematology and director of the Center for Myeloma Research at the Royal Marsden Institute of the National Health Services Foundation Trust and the Institute of Cancer Research in London. Dr. Morgan is an internationally recognized scientist and physician in the field of molecular genetics and blood cell cancers, in particular myeloma. His work has helped to find subsets of the disease and aided in the development of personalized targeted treatments. Now, what that means is that not everyone who has multiple myeloma or any other cancer has exactly the same illness. There are different molecular and genetic abnormalities in different patients that produce what looks like the same disease. And what Dr. Morgan does is he works at the genetic and genomic level to identify the specific abnormalities in specific patients that can lead to specific therapy, targeted therapy, rather than a shotgun approach. He also is engaged in advanced research in molecular diagnostics, drug development, and clinical trials. Dr. Morgan's authored well over 450 peer-reviewed articles. That's only 10 times what I did. Internationally in international journals in Europe and the United States. And his work is very much advancing the field and advancing the science related to multiple myeloma worldwide. And he will be building on the work that's been done here over the past more than 20 years, led by Dr. Bart Barloghy, who stepped down from the director role when Dr. Morgan took over the directorship. And Dr. Barloghy here, prior to Gareth's arrival and continuing, has really transformed the approach to this disease and changed the prognosis for patients. So we're thrilled to have Dr. Morgan here at UAMS and in Arkansas. We welcome him as an ARA scholar. Gareth, you're an extraordinary asset already to our state. We are extremely proud to have you joining our other two UAMS ARA scholars, Dr. Dao-Hung Jo and Dr. Peter Crooks. I see Dr. Peter Crooks over there. I don't know if Dao-Hung is here with us this morning as well. Dao-Hung is there as well. So now it's my pleasure to present an ARA certificate to Dr. Morgan. And after I do so, I'd like to invite my colleague, UALR Chancellor Joel Anderson, to come to the podium.
On the other side.
On the other side, certificate. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet
Thank you, Dan, and welcome, Dr. Morgan. Governor Beebe, thank you very much for your leadership of the state and especially for your support of higher education and research. Jeff, Jerry, it's my great pleasure to welcome here on behalf of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock and the Arkansas Research Alliance our new ARA scholar, Dr. Carolina Cruz-Niera. And this is she over to my left here. Dr. Cruz-Niera has been appointed the director of the George W. Donaghy Emerging Analytics Center at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and she has previously created and deployed a variety of technologies that have become standard tools in industry, government, and academia. Her work with advanced technologies with visualization driven by simplicity and applicability provide value to a wide range of disciplines and businesses. She serves on many international tech boards, advisory committees, and she's received multi-million-dollar awards from the National Science Foundation, the Army Research Lab, the Department of Energy, and Deere and Company. And prior to joining UALR, Dr. Cruz-Niera was the William Hanson Hall Board of Regents Super Chair in Telecommunications, Electrical, and Computer Engineering at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Dr. Cruz-Niera is a welcome addition to the ARA Scholars Program and is going to be an incredible asset to UALR. I'm sure you're going to be learning and hearing much more about her in the coming weeks and months and years as she does her work at UALR's Emerging Analytics Center. And I'm also going to present a certificate, this one to Dr. Cruz-Niera, and then when that is over, we'll ask Jerry Adams to come to the microphone. Dr. Cruz-Niera.
This is a great day in the life of the Arkansas Research Alliance and these institutions that have been named, as well as the state of Arkansas. I look around this room and I can't see anybody that doesn't have an oar in the water as it relates to getting this state into the 21st century from a competitive economic perspective. So you all have much to be aware of and congratulated on. I also want to thank Governor Beebe. It seems like the thing to do, everybody else has, but in reality, the Arkansas Research Alliance was birthed and evolved under his administration. Along with Innovate Arkansas and some others that we have started under his administration and have been funded through his leadership. And it's not always an easy process to fund organizations like ARA, Innovate Arkansas, and so on, but we've had funding, and this year we're transitioning from general improvement funds to general revenue, which again is also enormous. Tim Atkinson from ASTA and Grant Tennille from AEDC are here also, and they've been integral for the funding stream that ARA has received. I also want to acknowledge the ARA Board of Trustees, many of whom are here now. We have a board meeting later this afternoon. We have 3 new board members coming in. Rick Webb, who's here, the Senior Vice President of Walmart, who's back there someplace, is an enormous asset to our board. Rick, welcome. Also, Roger Jenkins, a new chair of Murphy Oil, will be here this afternoon, and Andrew Clyde, who is the new CEO of Murphy USA, a new company that Murphy has evolved. They're joining our board and are terrific assets to the board. Along with Renelle Wickramasinghe is here, Peter Crooks, and Dao Hong Zhou are our 3 ARA scholars to date. We welcome Dr. Morgan and Dr. Cruz-Niera to that group as well. These are a tremendous group of leaders. So it's an exciting time for ARA. It's an exciting time for Arkansas, and it's also exciting for this ecosystem. I see Warwick Sabin here, James Hendren, others here. There's a lot going on, and it's an ecosystem, and some of it tracks back to Accelerate Arkansas, some of it doesn't. But the reality is it's a team effort. It's a participation sport in Arkansas. So thank you for being here to share this moment. It's an exciting time, and thank you all. It's important that you all be here. Thank you.
Questions? No questions from the media? All right, mingle.